Hey, rock stars, what's going on? SE Rocks here with the second episode of the Hitlist with yours truly, SE Rocks. I got a special guest on this episode. I have Spilled Paint. What's going on, brother?
How's it going, man? Thanks for having me.
Going pretty good. Yeah, no problem. Thanks for joining me, man. So how's things going?
Pretty good. I just wrapped up my my latest EP, my forthcoming EP. Probably the project that I'm most proud of, entitled Sins of a Man, which will be out June 12th.
You just took away like everything I had written down to introduce you, so that's cool. Yeah, so we're going to promote his forthcoming EP that is coming out Friday, June 12th, called Sins of a Man. What did you say this was, your fourth EP?
Yeah, I believe so.
Nice. When did you start making music?
I started making music in 8th grade, which I want to say was 2015. We had this thing for English class where we had to come up with like some sort of project that inspired us. So it was called English Hour with my teacher, Mr. Tanner. And so he gave us like all these ideas, and my idea was to make a band. So Spilled Paint was really a thing for like a couple years before music ever got released. But basically just in Genius Hour we would like come up with music and stuff, and then at the end of it you had to do like some big project. So at the end of it I just performed like a cover where I played ukulele in front of the class. But then after that I like sort of moved on into more like hip-hop type music.
Nice. What made you decide hip-hop, like besides rock or punk or whatever?
Well, originally I wanted to do like indie rock music, because
I'm glad you didn't.
Because I thought that I could play guitar, but come to find out I can't. So instead,
oh, give yourself some credit, man. I've heard you play.
Instead, I just started downloading free beats from YouTube and writing to them, and it was really bad at first. Obviously, everybody is, especially because of the equipment that I had at the time. But then after a while, like I started getting better at writing and coming up with more clever things, and now I can actually play guitar. So like possibly more guitar stuff coming. But
oh yeah.
And rap has always been around. Like my dad listened to rap as I was growing up. My mom not so much. But it just, I don't know, it just inspired me. Seeing how clever some people could get, so I wanted to see how clever I could get, and you'll definitely hear that on this new album.
Nice. Yeah, I was able to check it out. You gave me a little pre-link or whatever you want to call it, so I checked it out. I'll make some notes. We'll go song by song here, but being a Caucasian male in, I don't want to say a rural area, if you're from a bigger city than I'm from, but how do you feel like you're welcomed into the hip-hop community?
Well, nowadays, I feel like everybody's welcomed as long as you're not necessarily dogging on other people. I mean, if you're just gonna, like, join and say that you run the show because, like,
right,
you just started rapping, you don't know anything yet. But I think everybody's accepted until you cross a certain line when it comes to hip-hop. But, like, I don't know, recently I've been getting a lot of props for my stuff, and I mean it makes me feel welcomed, but like beforehand I think that's the reason why I wanted to make sort of rock music, was because like Eminem is like the only white rapper that everybody knows about,
right?
And I mean you could think of like Macklemore, but do I really want to be Macklemore? I don't think so.
Right. So, but there's so many more now. Like if you look
right.
now, there's so many more white rappers as opposed to even just 5 years ago.
Right. That's kind of just what inspired me, really. Like seeing all these other people do it, I was like, okay, like maybe. And when I would think of something clever, like you just like get in that mood where you're like, okay, I gotta show somebody else this. So it really motivated me to put my music out there.
What made you stay motivated? Like you said, you were really bad when you started. Why didn't you just give up? Like, what made you think, okay, if I keep at this, I'm gonna get good at it?
Honestly, family and friends. Like, when Genius Hour, the project in English class, started in 8th grade, I like told my mom that I wanted to make music, and I was like always interested in music and like instruments and stuff. And I was playing percussion for band at the time, but like she would, every time she'd have a friend over, she'd be like, "Oh yeah, Tyler's making music," and so like I didn't want to disappoint her. Like if she's inviting friends
Right.
over to show them my music, so I would just keep making things. And then when it came to like my first project, a lot of it was just based on past experiences and like me dealing with certain things. So like there wasn't necessarily a specific genre for the first project. It was like weird hip hop. Like there was like one hip hop song on there, and the rest was just like ukulele, sad, depressing like songs.
Yeah, right.
And like I didn't really know how to work my way around a music software or anything, but just throwing it together and being able to get my feelings out onto like a track and see if anybody can relate to it, or if I could just create a safe place for somebody to come and listen to my music and like sit with their headphones on and listen to my awfully mixed production, then I thought it'd be great. So that just kept me putting things out, and after a while, obviously my skills have gotten a little better when it comes to mixing and producing and pushing things out there. Which also I'd like to mention, the entire EP is produced by Professor L, which is one of my good friends that I grew up with, and he just recently started producing.
Is he from the area too?
Yeah, he went to school with me.
Oh, nice. So keeping it local, that's cool. Okay, so how did you find your flow, I guess I'll say it? Like, I know I always try to screw, well, not always, but once in a while I'll try to screw around, I'll write something and be like, oh, this would be cool with like a beat, but I can't flow at all. Like, how did you, find your niche flow?
I don't necessarily have a niche. I mean, I mess around with a bunch of different flows. Like on my song Bougie, which is my most popular song, or one of my most popular songs on SoundCloud right now. Like, I don't know, I just take like certain, like I take inspiration from certain rappers. Like if I hear like a really ignorant beat with like heavy bass or something, like I might write about something ignorant. But like, and when I put out projects and stuff, I like to go towards like more genuine lyrics. So when it comes to the flow, it's more so like the feel of the song. Like if I'm writing a song about breaking up with somebody, I'm not gonna like spit really fast on this melodic song about love. So like it's more so like the flow sets the feel of the song for me.
Yeah. Who were you inspired by, speaking of inspiration?
Probably my biggest inspiration is Mac Miller, which is really weird because none of my music sounds like Mac Miller.
Yeah.
But when it comes to like goals as an artist, like he was he was like everybody's little secret until he passed away. Like you could be like, yeah man, check out Mac Miller, and like you just get this group of friends who knew about Mac Miller in secret, and we're all just like vibing to his music, passing it around. And I don't know, he's just such inspiration with how he transferred from like this boom bap old school like hip hop music to this more melodic like jazz type influence, like funky music.
Right.
And I enjoy that a lot. But obviously every white rapper was influenced by Eminem, so I gotta say that.
I don't know if Machine Gun Kelly was. I mean, he might have something to say about that.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, there's actually a lot of great English rappers out there too. I'm sure you probably know of Greaves. Greaves is one of my favorite white hip hop artists. Bliss and ESO, I really like Bliss and ESO. One that you've probably never heard of. When listening to your new EP, you really reminded me of. He doesn't even make music anymore. He was like a straight edge rapper for a while. His name was Omega Impure. You can find some of his tracks on YouTube, but your new EP really reminds me of some of the stuff that he put out, like your flows and your beats and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. So speaking of your new record, yeah, definitely check him out. So we'll do a rundown. Track by track. You give us your feelings on them, and I'll give a few notes that I put down when I was listening to them. The first track, I guess it's an intro. I'm gonna assume it's kind of like an intro track. It's called "What Up World." What is that to you?
What Up World is like, it's okay. So basically, the whole concept of the album, Sins of a Man, it was never gonna be like a conceptual album. But after writing it and listening back to it, I was like, okay, this kind of loops, and like I'll explain more of that as we go on. But with What Up World, it's like my introducing all the listeners to the album, Because my mindset before this album was, okay, I've been making music for way too long to just be sitting here, like, taking this lazily as I was. So when it came to this album, my thought is, all right, I have to fund this some way. So, like, that's where the hard copies come in. So, like, I have hard copies that I'm selling for $10, and I'm sitting down in my basement for hours a day, printing, cutting, putting the booklets in these albums, burning the CDs, signing every CD, and stuff like that.
Doing it the old school way, man.
Exactly. And I never did anything like this before. I mean, like, I'd burn CDs for friends and stuff, but I never, like, took the time. So it really makes you appreciate your work when you sit there and you take the time to do all this and package these little thank you notes, like, together for people who bought them and stuff like that. So the original idea was, I already have made, but I'm making a bunch of paper CD cases, because I have a ton of CDs that I got for like $2 from Goodwill. So I'm burning all these CDs. I have like hundreds, and I'm just folding them up in this paper with this little thank you note that I printed out. And I'm going to go around and putting them on people's doorsteps. And it has like my socials, my Spotify, like all the information on the album. And so hopefully I can build some traction from it. So What Up World is basically just, here's the album, here's what you're going to expect, like, enjoy the ride type situation.
Hell yeah, man. I definitely, my notes are that it's a great intro. I really like the beat to it. Like you said, it's saying, like, you know, what's up, here I am, this is what you're in for. I really like the hook to it. I like what you did there. Kind of to backtrack a little bit on what you're saying, though, like, I really like that old school tactic that you're taking. I remember years ago, like, some of this stuff really sets me back. Like, when I used to go to Warped Tour, fucking, like, 15 years ago, man. Rest in peace, Warped Tour. But, yeah, man, musicians would be out in the parking lot in these lines passing out their, you know, CDs that they spent time doing exactly what you did, burning CDs, making these cases. And that's how you would get your name out, man. You would stand outside these venues of concerts and just hand out free discs, hoping somebody would listen to it and then look you up. And it turned me on to a lot of music that I otherwise wouldn't have known. One memory I have that you just brought back was, I remember going to, it's Gordman's now in Saginaw. It used to be Media Play, I believe, years ago. But Bootleg from the Dayton Family was standing outside of Media Play handing out his, you know, single. It was when he went solo or whatever. Just standing outside of Saginaw, like, his fucking Bootleg, handing out free CDs from his trunk. And it's like, that's how people used to get recognized. Like, you had to put the legwork in. I know you're in the wrestling business. It's kind of the same thing. I mean, you have to put the work in if you want to go anywhere. Exactly. So I definitely commend you on taking that route, and I really hope it works out for you. Like, it's too bad there aren't concerts going on right now where you could stand outside and, you know, hand that shit out.
Especially with getting my license last year, I would definitely be just traveling, which I am. I mean, I'm going to travel to, like, you know, Midland and stuff, and put CDs on people's porches there as well, because I got to branch out. But yeah, it's really difficult to build a following in the city because I just turned 18 like 4 months ago. So, like, when it comes to doing concerts and stuff, it's really hard to get into 18 plus venues when you're not 18. So
yeah, for sure. And you said you started making music in 2015,
right? Yeah.
So you've only been making music roughly for 4.5, maybe 5 years. Yeah, so you're definitely escalated in your talent, I would say. So track 2, Boogie Down. What you got?
Well, the track was sent to me by Professor L. Like, it was set in this big file, and the only thing I could think about was Fortnite, because there's Boogie Down, the emote. And so I was like, I can't rap about Fortnite on my album, this album that I'm trying to push really hard. Like, it's gonna be horrible for me. It's too corny. So instead, it was more so like, it was like the follow-up to What Up World, because, you know, the song starts off like, I started off as a young boy, and then it's kind of just going through like the motions of an artist. Like, I think the second bar in there is, they said that I'd be nothing, so I plan to destroy, which is like, that's like how I feel like that's how every artist gets their motivation. Everybody,
Right.
when you're growing up, is like, oh, you're never gonna make it as an artist. And I'm not saying that I'm ever gonna make it as an artist, but I can believe what I want to believe. I
Right.
can believe my stuff is wonderful, and I can believe it's absolute garbage.
Exactly.
But so Boogie Down is like, it's like me telling my supporters my story, but also me pulling them in and getting them like behind the scenes with me and getting them closer.
Right, getting them invested into the story you're going to tell.
Right.
I did take a note. You mentioned bullying in that track. Is bullying something you experienced, or is that kind of just something you're rapping about to put in a rap?
Yeah, 6th and 7th grade were really hard for me because of bullying. I won't say any school names or anything, but
Right.
I went to a middle school that wasn't necessarily the best, and I was just treated like absolute garbage there, even by the teachers. And it was so bad that it got to the point where my parents were like coming into the school like, hey, we're going to be pulling him out of school if like something doesn't change. And towards the end of the school year, my parents just had enough of it. They went to the office and told them that I was done and I'd be returning my books. So I did. I returned my books in 7th grade. And the school was so unorganized. Actually, by 8th grade, they still thought that I was enrolled in the school. So one of my only friends from that school told me in 8th grade that they were trying to call me for attendance. So,
Oh, Jesus Christ, seriously?
as I was enrolled into another school, they were trying to call me for attendance at the other one. But in 8th grade, things got a whole lot better. And, yeah, it was just a rough time. Bullying is never nice for anybody, and if anybody out there is going through it, it's just people pick on you for your insecurities because of their insecurities, and
Yep, definitely.
to make themselves feel better.
Yeah, like I dealt with it too in my later years, not so much like middle school or whatever. Mine was in high school, and it got pretty bad. People trying to run me over and shit on the sidewalk when I was skateboarding. Like, it was fucked up, man. And
Yeah.
it depending on the severity of it, it can fuck you up for life. That's for sure. But that's the cool thing about music, man. Like I could listen to that track, and something that somebody else might pick out, I might not pick out. But then, like, I heard bullying, so, I gravitated towards that, and that's what I took notes on. So that's one cool thing about, like, being an artist, like, yourself, is music is a good way to, you can convey so many different emotions that anybody will be able to pick up on in different ways.
Definitely. That's my favorite part about it, to be honest.
Yeah, definitely. And that's, like, a song that other people might, think is super angry, which is what I always heard growing up, is like, why do you listen to such angry music? But that's not how I heard it. Like, it wasn't angry to me. It brought out, like, the happiness in me. Yeah, they were yelling and screaming or whatever, but, like, that's not how I was hearing it. I was hearing what they were saying, not how they were saying it.
Right.
Yeah. So track 3, Sins of a Man.
Sins of a Man is the title track. Basically introduces the topic and kind of wraps your head around this whole thing. In Sins of a Man, I'm talking about smoking weed, and
I did take note of that.
I'm talking about smoking weed and, buying all this jewelry and cruising around town and flirting with girls. And so it's more so like all of these things where, like, you look at a guy for doing, and you're like, wow, that guy is a douche. So it's like the sins, like as an artist, you're supposed to live up to some sort of image, and you have to portray some sort of image to your audience. And this is more so me doing the opposite. Like, I'm not somebody who goes out and smokes weed, or somebody who goes out and party, or somebody who flirts with girls like that I see on the side of the street, or has some sort of fancy car that he drives around.
Okay, so see, I totally misread that track then, because every note I have here, like, I didn't know it was a conceptual album. So now that you're this is really cool, like, telling me how it was going down, like, it's clicking with me now, because I had notes about, like, the drug references and stuff. I was gonna be like, dude, what the fuck is going on? I was gonna shoot on you, but now that you're saying it, it's totally making sense.
Yeah.
Cool, yeah.
And I don't dog on anybody for smoking weed. I'll dog on you if you do crystal meth, but that's about it.
Right? Yeah, for sure. I noticed, like, so does that track kind of have, like, two meanings then? Because, like, I noticed there's, like, a big not giving up aspect to that track.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
Basically, like, the chorus, do I build to destroy or destroy to succeed? You know, and that kind of ties into the dual meaning. Like, am I supposed to be building up this brand, or am I destroying things in order to succeed? Like, am I destroying my image by smoking weed or partying or hanging out with all these girls and stuff like that?
Right. Are you like betraying yourself to become what, you know, what the image of what you want to be is?
Right.
Yeah, cool, man. Yeah, that just clicked when you said that, because I totally had like notes. I'm like, oh man, I can't believe he's saying this shit. All right, track 4, Get Down, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay, and that's with ZZZ Sleepy. I don't know why this is Sleepy.
Correct, yeah.
Okay.
Sleepy's actually someone that I met like about 2 years ago over Twitter. And I followed him for a little bit because he did some YouTube videos that I was interested in. And then he started making music. I started making music. He followed me back, and we sort of just linked ever since. We have a couple songs together on SoundCloud, but this will be our first song released on all platforms. And he's from the UK. And,
okay, I was just going to ask who he is and how did you guys meet, so you just answered those. Cool.
Yeah, he makes like more so like lo-fi, like basement pop type music. And I mean, he spits too, obviously. You'll hear it on the track. But so when it came to this track, I wrote the first verse for Get Down, and I was just like I feel like I just have to hand it over to somebody. Not necessarily because I couldn't write more, but like it just felt like it was more sort of like a statement. Like, I'm going to have this other guy come in that's part of my team, like that's part of my my collective, I guess you could call it, which we are part of a collective, Internet Fiends Collective. But so I just had him come in and sort of just like wrap up the song and make a statement on the album real quick before the next track comes in.
Right. I really dug that too. Like I was saying earlier, man, I like that English accent. It's just something about a guy that can flow with that. When I heard that, I was like, oh yeah, this is nice, man. So I was really interested to hear it. So you just like heard of him on Twitter or something, and you guys just kind of hooked up that way?
Yeah, he started posting links to his SoundCloud, and I started listening to it, and it might have been like 2016 actually when I first had DM'd him on Twitter, but I DM'd him. I think he might have DM'd me first, and he asked if I wanted to work with him, and obviously I was honored because like I followed him for so long on YouTube and such, and yeah, so we sort of just connected, and we've been sending each other like unreleased stuff ever since, just to get each other's opinions and stuff like that. So somebody respectable in the music industry for once.
Yeah, that's cool, man. For once. Ouch. Yeah, I definitely like that track. Like I said, I liked, you know, that it was just a nice little change, like you said, towards the end of the song. You got that little break. Definitely helped out. So track 5, Pretty Girls.
This track wasn't supposed to happen. I started listening to like a bunch of like Brockhampton, and I was like, man,
no idea who that is.
I really want like some sort of slow melodic like guitar type beat, and so instead we just went with Pretty Girls. I was at Professor L's house, which is Logan. I'm just gonna refer to him as Logan from now on. Logan. I was at Logan's house, and we were just making beats, and I was like, okay, so you sent me this guitar beat, but now I kind of want to go like the complete opposite way. So he loaded up all these beats that he had, and I heard this one, and I just started messing around with it. And like something about the way that the kick just punches and the little synths that he puts in the beginning, it just, I don't know, it just made me rap about pretty girls, which again raps into Sins of a Man because I'm rapping about these girls. And there's a line in there where I say, if you want your freedom, you might as well just get rid of them. So like, if you want your freedom in a relationship, it's going to be really hard. And that's, you know, part of the Sins of a Man.
Right. Yeah, that was probably my favorite beat of the whole record. It might have even be my favorite track of the whole record. There's like a feeling of heartbreak during the song. And like you said, the freedom of, you know, you have to get away or whatever. Right. And I could feel like that whole track. But now, like, you have me second guessing my feelings on this album now that I know like it's not personal feelings, that it's like a conceptual album.
I mean, I always write from a personal standpoint. Like,
right.
Like, it doesn't necessarily have to be now. Like, I don't smoke weed now, but I have in the past. And, you know, I don't, like, get enticed in all these sort of relationships, but I've done that in the past, and I know what
Right.
I've done wrong, so I write from that sort of perspective and just kind of wrap it up and conceptualize it.
Right. Yeah, you can tell there's like there's meaning behind that track of, you know, being heartbroken or whatever. So like, it's really well written. I really liked that. That's definitely my favorite track. I have it written down, favorite track. Later on, it was kind of a toss up, but I still have it written down as that's probably, you know, overall I liked the beat. I liked, you know, the lyrical content and everything. So,
All right, thank you, man.
yeah, no problem. I did have a note, like, what makes you, because this is like the generation of like SoundCloud rappers or SoundCloud musicians. What makes you feel like you stand out from, you know, everybody out there who has Pro Tools or whatever is being used and they're just, you know, doing what they do?
My main thing is I don't stick to one certain genre or sound. Like,
Yeah.
if you go and search up whoever on SoundCloud, most of the time you're going to find like hard hitting, you know, like bass driven songs. And I mean, I have a couple of them out there, but like if you dig into my discography, you can find like I said before, ukulele type stuff. You can find stuff that I've written about like suicidal thoughts and like heartbreak and even just chill songs about like hanging out with people, going to like the disco. Like I literally have disco music on SoundCloud. Like who does that?
Right.
So, you know, that just sticks me out from the crowd, which that might be something that like sways listeners away. But in my opinion, when it comes to what makes me happy, I'm just going to keep doing it. And if something doesn't stick, then something doesn't stick. But if it makes me happy, I'm going to keep producing music like that, because at the end of the day, it's happiness over money. And
Yeah. Hell yeah, dude.
whatever I make and I'm happy with, I'm going to put out.
And it's good not to pigeonhole yourself right away. Like, you know, you just come out, you know, like you said, most of those people have that, you know, bass-driven stuff. You're not pigeonholing yourself to where, you know, somebody might listen to a track of yours on SoundCloud and they'll be like, you know, I don't know, that's not my type of thing. But if they go down a couple tracks, they're going to find something totally different than they might love. So
Right.
it definitely, pigeonholing yourself is definitely, you know, not a good thing. So it's cool that you're going that route. I see you. There's like, I don't know, 2 or 3 C-3PO references on this EP. Are you a Star Wars fan?
No, not at all.
It's just easy to rap C-3PO.
Yeah,
Okay.
specifically because he's literally all gold. And
Right,
which sins of
right.
a man, like, you know, jewelry.
Nice. Okay, yep. There's that again.
My good friend Weston, which we all know and love,
Props
he
to Weston.
is like the biggest Star Wars fan that I've ever met in my entire life. And like, I have nothing against Star Wars. I could probably sit down and watch it if I really tried. And I know I've watched a few when I was growing up because of my dad, but that's just kind of how I know the references and stuff
Right.
like that.
Yeah, I'm not a huge fan either. Lil Dre is, but I've watched all the newer ones, but I've never sat down and watched any of the older ones.
Yeah.
Definitely not my thing. So let's jump on to track 6, Moment of Calm Interlude, which isn't even really a track, I guess, but
Yeah. When Logan sent me this, I don't know, it was just like, when you get such a beautiful transition into the next song, something about it just makes that song so much more enjoyable. Like, towards the end of the Moment of Calm interlude, you can hear the little bells start to come in on the next song, and just the transition and how it transitions so flawlessly is wonderful to me. But basically, Moment of Calm is just something for people who are just sitting in their room, you know, like chilling, listening to music. Maybe they have headphones and lights out, trying to sleep or something. And it's just that's what it is, the moment of calm. Because throughout the whole album, you know, it's like, this is my most upbeat album, which, like, there's literally no sad songs on this album, because all my previous albums are just full of like all this anger and hate and pain and like depressive episodes of lyrics that I've written. And so I wanted to just make this album like something that anybody can listen to, but still, like, on the underside of it, you can relate to it. So
Right.
with Moment of Calm, it's just your break from all of the sins of a man.
nice. Okay, I have two notes to that. I have positive question mark on here because I remember you telling me this was your most positive EP, your most positive record. Maybe it's just the way I was listening to it, but I wasn't picking up a lot of positivity. Like I was picking up on like the heartbreak and the bullying and the never give. I guess never give up is a positive, but like it's also a negative because like you're being pushed to the point of not wanting to give up. And again, maybe that it's all in somebody's mindset. Like my mind is kind of it's off into the darkness right now, so that's probably what I was picking up on it. So I just had positive question marks. I remember you saying that it was one of your most positive. And I was like, oh man, I'm not. All my notes are like negative, not positive. So
yeah, it always depends on the listener's perspective or the listener's mindset. But I want people to be able to go back and listen and catch up on the little things like the C3PO reference, or catch up on how the album kind of loops in itself, and towards the end of the album it ends and then boom, you're back with What Up World and you're back towards the album, and hopefully there's some sort of replay value for people who check it out. But I just enjoy like the happy meaning and then the underlying sad meaning where I'm writing about like personal feelings and such.
Yeah. I feel like that's the part I was picking up on, so that's kind of makes me feel good that I was actually picking up on something. Right. Yeah, it definitely has replay value too, man, because I've listened to it a few times. Like I had to go through and I wanted to take my notes, and going back to What Up World, like it's definitely a great like introduction. It gets you, it gets your head bomb, and you get the feeling of where you're going with things. So, and then to wrap it up, you got Just Once featuring, what do I got? Knight and MC Reef.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Who are those fellas, and how did you meet them?
Charlie Knight is actually my dad's friend, which is insane because that's, I don't know. But anyways, my dad lives up in Clare, Michigan, and so I would travel there every other weekend, and like obviously my dad knows about my music. He's one of my biggest supporters, considering he introduced me to rap music and such. And so when my dad found out that I rapped, like this little friend group that he had at the time, I believe he met Charlie working. So Charlie came over and we kind of just talked for a little bit, and then I produced all my own stuff at the time. I mean, I still mess around with producing, but Logan's like my main producer right now. So me and Charlie just sort of messed around, and we were just thinking of certain ways to write songs, and the main thing that we wanted to write about at the time was all of these rappers who are like pushing drugs to like the forefront of their music, like, hey kids, come do all these drugs. And we just wanted to rap about how wrong that is, and again, the sins of a man. We wanted to write about all these sins that these rappers were pushing, and like, I'm obviously no perfect person, and I'm not even religious, but we just wanted like all these things that are wrong. Like, why are you portraying these to children? Like, children are going to go and want to listen to what's hip and like what's new. And when they're hearing all these things about drugs and such, it's a little iffy. So we wrote our first song called Bragging Rights, which came out on the 7 Day record, which was my first EP. And ever since then, we've just been in touch. I went down to Florida, I want to say 2 years ago or a year ago, and we made our second EP together, which was The Night We Spilled Paint 2, and that was my most recent project besides Sins of a Man that I'm most proud of. I mean, we produced, recorded, mixed, mastered, shot a music video for all of that in like a couple days maybe, because that's all we had for time when he lived down in Florida and I traveled down there. Right. So to see what we did together, I've always kind of stuck around with him when it comes to music, or when it comes to I have an open verse. I know that I can send it to him and trust him to fill that spot in with something that's worth my time. Right. Which, no offense to anybody, but Yeah, I gotcha. And then MC Reef, I believe I just followed him on Instagram. He followed me back. We started talking for a little bit, and I was like, hey man, I have this song that has an open verse if you want it. And that song was called Warning Shot, which is exclusively on SoundCloud because I don't own the rights to that beat. But so after I seen what he could do with that, like, Warning Shot was basically just the warning shot. It was the warning shot to all these rappers who think that they can top what we do or top our work ethic. So when I sent him that and I seen what his outcome was, I was like, all right, I know that I have to work with him in the future. So after Logan started getting into producing this year, and Logan was listening to Knight and MC Reef, after he made this beat, he was like, I gotta have all three of you on it. So before this album was like a conceptual album, Logan sent it, and he was like, all right, this is some seductive type, like rapping in the bar, picking up some girl type beat. Right. So he sent it to all of us on the email, and after that they agreed to writing verses for it, and Charlie sang the hook because that man has a beautiful voice. And
yeah, definitely.
So we just got it wrapped up. This song is the song that took too long. This song literally took like 2 months to finish because I had all my stuff done. We were just waiting on Knight and MC Reef, but I don't hold them against it. Obviously, everyone's got their own lives and everything, but right. Especially with, COVID-19 hitting right when it did, it completely ruined like all of us because I'm fortunate enough to have all my recording gear at home, but I know some people aren't, and Knight and MC Reef happen to be the two people that aren't fortunate enough, which no disrespect, obviously, but so when it came to waiting times and for studios to open back up, and like they were trying to order gear and get their studio gear in from Amazon and whatnot, and shipping's delayed, and so right. it just took extra long. But I do believe that waiting that long was so worth it. This is probably one of my favorite songs on the album, to be honest.
It's definitely my favorite like verse that you spit on. I definitely like your verse on that track. I think it was a great way to wrap up the album too. Like it ends on a positive note, the beat and everything's it's upbeat and everything. So
right.
And like you said, it's a good like segue to like if you wanted to loop back, like you could loop back to go to What Up World, and it flows together really well. What was I gonna say about that? I do not remember. But you mentioned earlier about like intense lyrics. What do you think your most intense lyric is? Like what track of yours? Oh man.
What do you mean by intense? Do you mean like most heartfelt or like most
emotional? Like if you were to like spit a verse right now of your most intense track that you think you would become emotional about, what is it?
Ooh, all right, story time. So when I first started making music, the 7-Day record, there's a song that got taken off of there. That was literally just me rapping my suicide note to my family. It was just over some like sort of piano type like instrumental, and I literally just rapped what I had written for my suicide note. I changed a couple things to censor and to make things flow a little better, but yeah.
Right. Okay. And that wasn't released, you said? You took it off?
Yeah, I ended up taking it off. It was released for maybe an hour on YouTube and Bandcamp, but I decided to take it off and then post everything on all platforms.
Is it something you'll release in the future? Just
no, I don't have any of the material anymore.
Oh, you don't have it anymore? Okay.
No.
So that was okay. That's what did it have a track or like a title?
Yeah, it was called Not a Suicide Note, which is ironic.
Okay. Yeah, that is ironic. Yeah, for sure. Musicians.
Yeah.
Okay, transition. Okay, so we're done talking about the record for now. Transition a little bit into wrestling because we know you are part of the wrestling business, or most people out there that know what's going on know that. Why don't you get into wrestling themes? Have you ever thought about like mixing guys' wrestling themes or intros or anything like that?
Yeah, I've thought about it. I'm sure it's a high demand when it comes to wanting your own like original entrance music, but like I don't know if it's the feeling of like I don't know who I can like send these to, or if they're even going to be worth my time to make, right, because like I said, I just make what I enjoy making, but like when it comes to wrestling themes, I feel like I could spit on the wrestling theme, or I could do some sort of rock thing, but I don't know if my voice necessarily fits for some sort of like upbeat, like aggressive entrance music where I'm supposed to hype up the crowd. Maybe like an instrumental type thing I could do, but I think it's more so just I don't really have the time really.
Right.
Like, I mean, I'm constantly making rap music or trying to come up with clever punchlines and stuff and producing and trying to figure out what the next move is or stuff like that. And I think this is the most busy I've ever been with music. And I mean, I just finished my website, which is crazy that I haven't had a website and I've been making music for like 4.5 years, but I'm definitely trying to put in the work right now. So when it comes to wrestling themes, I just don't think I have time right now, but in the future, it's a dream of mine, to be honest with you.
Right. Speaking of your site, let's go ahead and give that a push, man. What's your website?
SpilledPaintMI.com. MI standing for Michigan, but I just bought the domain, so if you go to spilledpaintmi.com, it'll forward you to my website. On there you find links to all my music, all my albums, all my singles, all my social media, business contact, personal or fan contact. I hate calling people fans, but and then you'll find a newsletter, which is super important. If you guys want to go sign up for the newsletter, go to spilledpaintmi.com, click the newsletter tab, type in your email, click check, hit submit, and there you'll be updated on everything that I do when it comes to music, merch, this album dropping, stuff like that.
Nice. Yeah, so you guys make sure you go check it out, spilledpaintmi.com, correct?
Yep.
Okay, cool. Speaking of like contact info, like do you take bookings like how, if somebody wanted to book you for a show, I know COVID's going on, there ain't going to be shows for like 20 years or whatever, but like if somebody wanted to run a show, how would they just go to your contacts on that website?
Yeah, like I said, if you go to spilledpaintmi.com, go to the contact section on there. If you just click the email, it'll take you right to your preferred email app. You can send me an email. On any of my social medias, you can direct message me. I'm pretty much always active on there, but my main email that I use if you're actually interested is spilledpaintinfo@gmail.com. I'll respond to anybody on there.
Yeah, definitely. Any of you guys out there who are looking for, a cool musician, you want somebody to put together a track for you, get a hold of my boy Spilled Paint. Who would you like to work with? Like, in reality, somebody that you may possibly be able to work with, and then like a dream, like when you hit it big, who is somebody you would want to work with?
Honestly, right now, like maybe like a rock band, like
nice.
Even just somebody from the local area. I think it would be cool to just get together and put something together. It would even be cool if we did like a rock rap influenced Limp Bizkit type song.
Hell yeah, dude.
Joyner Lucas and I Prevail just dropped a song together and something like that. I don't know. I always thought it was corny when I was growing up, but now just being able to like hang out with some dudes and get to know them and sit around and make music is just wonderful to me. But
yeah.
In the future, probably Token, or
nice.
Maybe Machine Gun Kelly, which he gets hate because of the Eminem diss, but
dude, I don't care. He killed M on that track. I don't like Eminem and I don't like Machine Gun Kelly. He fucking killed M on that track, and people like argue it. I'm like, I don't have like any reason to care either way, but he fucking did.
No, Machine Gun Kelly's versatility is unmatched. Like when it comes to doing disses like the Eminem diss, or when it comes to just normal rapping, or when it comes to like his rock stuff, which he's releasing like a pop punk album soon.
Is he really?
Yeah. When it comes to that sort of thing, it's just like it's unmatched, and I would love to just get to know the dude honestly with how he is. Like I know how he treats his daughter. Dude's a wonderful dad, and I think he's really got his career in line for the foreseeing future, and to be able to link with that dude and get in the studio and work with him would be a dream.
For sure, man.
But anybody dead, Kurt Cobain.
Out of anybody dead, Kurt Cobain. Why?
Out of anybody dead. Mainly just because Nirvana helped me through middle school. Like, I would always see everybody wearing the Nirvana shirts, like, not even knowing who Nirvana was.
Dude, that shit still goes on in school.
Exactly.
But it's funny because you're saying middle school. I was in middle school when he passed away.
Yeah.
So, like, I was like an 8th grader wearing the Nirvana shirt when he passed away. And then, like, 15 years later, you're a middle schooler wearing the Nirvana shirt? Yeah. It's crazy how, like, they withstood the test of time.
Definitely. And, I mean, I don't necessarily know how the dude was, like, in person, because, like, you see everybody in interviews, and you can kind of tell, but, like, I don't necessarily know how he was, but he just seemed like a genuine, like, good dude to just get, like, hang out with, rock out with. Even just being up on stage with him would be legendary.
Oh, yeah.
Like, the man is throwing himself around, and, like, you really know how dedicated he is to making this music for the generation. And just to get on a song with him would obviously solidify you into some sort of history book when it comes to music.
Right.
But even just meeting the dude would make my entire life.
Yeah, that's like one guy that I wish I could have met, just because, and like you said, in the interviews you don't know, because I think he was really good at hiding a lot of things, so in the interviews it's hard to tell, but you can tell that he was a very empathetic individual. Like, that just, it exuded from him, no matter, like, what he was doing in an interview. And I think that's the Kurt Cobain, like, I always wish that I would have been able to just to talk to for 5 minutes, just to, get that kind of feeling. And I used to go to shows at the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor all the time, and, like, they played at the Blind Pig in Ann Arbor. I can't remember which year, but there's, like, a poster and stuff up on the wall. And just thinking back, like, man, if I would have been 5 years older and able to fucking go to concerts and stuff at that time, like, I could have seen Nirvana. For real. It's crazy. Going back to Machine Gun Kelly, you said how versatile he is. I did see that a lot of people are posting on social media his cover of Rage Against the Machine. I will say I'm a huge Rage Against the Machine fan. I almost feel like anybody could cover that song because it's just repetitive lyrics, and like, I'm not a great vocalist at all, but I feel like I could cover it. So I think all the love he's getting for covering that song is kind of unwarranted. He does a great job, don't get me wrong, but, like, I just feel like if he wanted to do a Rage Against the Machine song, he should have picked, like, a different one. I understand the feeling behind it and everything, but I just think there's too many people on his nuts about that track. I do like it, but what's this pop punk album that he's putting out?
I think it's called Tickets to My Downfall. He just released the single for it called Bloody Valentine. That's doing pretty well right now.
Is he playing, like, with his own band, or is he, like, hooking up with, like, okay?
I mean, he hooked up with Travis Barker from Blink-182.
Yeah, I seen that in that video,
for drums and all that, but, like, he plays his own guitar, and
nice.
I think he plays drums too, but I don't think he plays drums for the album or anything.
Who's that dude that I'm totally not in tune with anything that's current or anything? The dude that covered the Nirvana songs. Is it Post Malone?
Yeah.
What did you think about that? Because I know he was getting, a lot of praise for that too. What did you think of his covers?
I thought they were pretty decent. Like, he definitely, like, I don't know. I think I don't know. It could have just been, like, his way to pay tribute, I guess.
Right, and that's how I tried looking at it too. Like he was doing it his own way, and it wasn't terrible. It's just I have so much, like, old Nirvana shit. Like, I have books and collectibles and shit from when I was growing up. Like, so I have that, like, sentimental attachment to them. So it's like that hipster thing. Like, fuck you, you can't do what they did, so I'm not gonna like it. I don't know. It was just. I think it was just the way it was recorded too. I didn't like the way it was like in his living room or whatever. Either. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't terrible, but
I think the main thing about that was he probably just did it because it's what made him happy. And
I'm sure. Yeah,
it was also. I believe there's a fundraiser behind it, which props to him for that. Like,
right,
much respect. But yeah, I don't know. Like, if it makes me happy to run around in my boxers and play guitar on camera, I'm gonna do it. So
yeah, for sure. And that's an awesome way to live, man. It's cool that you feel comfortable enough to at this point in your life, be able to say, fuck it, I'm gonna do what makes me happy.
Yeah.
Because not enough people. I don't do that. Like, I'm a middle-aged man, and I still don't like these podcasts make me happy. So like, I do them even though like 5 people listen. But like that's
Shout
it's
out
hard
all
to
the 5 people listening right
yeah.
now.
Shout out to all you guys. You are my rock stars. So you're ahead of the game right there, man. You have to do what makes you happy. Because like, really, what is life if we're not happy?
Exactly. I lived for so long, like, with how young I am, like, with being bullied at, 6th and 7th grade, I lived, like, up until, like, 10th or 11th grade just feeling, like, absolute garbage about myself. And there was literally one day where I woke up and I was like, what am I doing? Like,
right.
if I'm doing all these things that are making me feel like garbage, why am I still doing them? I just need to do what makes me happy. And I understand, like, some people can't look at life that way. And I find it hard sometimes, like, even though I made that, that
right.
switch in my head. Obviously, there's still nights where I lay in bed and I'm like, okay, something's not working.
Right.
So it's more so perspective on everything, but I think happiness over anything is what's getting me through right now.
Nice. And we definitely need more of that right now because the world is fucked. Like,
definitely
hard. We definitely need people to help make us happy, and when we're down, people to pick us up. Which is positivity, which is what Sins of a Man was about, right? See how we, looped back around? Yeah. And I thought this was funny too. I just thought about it when I was looking down at my notes. Like, your name is Spilled Paint. My name is Blank Canvas. So, like, it's almost like we were born to meet.
Exactly.
You got some spilled paint on a blank canvas. You have fucking art, creativity.
Wonderful.
Yeah, it's nice, man. Yeah, so I want to take a minute to thank Spilled Paint for joining SE Rocks on the hit list. Be sure to check out his new album, Sins of a Man, coming out on Friday, June 12th. Go ahead and spit your socials.
Yeah, thanks for having me, man. You can follow me on all social media at Spilled Paint MI. On Facebook, just look up Spilled Paint. YouTube, anywhere you can type in Spilled Paint. I'm on all streaming platforms. Spilled Paint. But like SE Rock said, album comes out June 12th. But one more thing that I want to plug before this podcast is over with. If you haven't signed any petitions for Black Lives Matter, go to change.org, sign a bunch of petitions that you can, and support the movement.
Definitely. I'm totally with you on that, man. There's nothing that can be said right now about what's going on besides sign the petitions, donate, let your voice be heard. Yeah, donate if you can donate. The shit that's going on in the world right now is fucking insane. Nobody deserves to be treated the way that our brothers and sisters are being treated out there, and yeah, it's just sad, man. Definitely donate, support Black Lives Matter. If there's a protest near you, join the protest. Like I said, we need to stand up. We need our voice to be heard, and I think that is happening. People are seeing that there are groups of people that are, getting together to say, we're fucking sick of this. This is not what America is supposed to be. I don't think you pushed all your socials, brother. Or something. I don't know. You were going to segue into something, but then you pushed that. And I kind of went off.
Snapchat, Tyler_Cobain.
Oh, Jesus, no.
No, but yeah, like I said, you could follow me on all social medias. You can find them all at www.spilledpaintmi.com. And music's available everywhere, all platforms, Apple Music, Spotify, iTunes, Google Play, Tidal, Deezer, iHeartRadio. Yeah.
All of them. He's on all of them. Spilled Paint is on all of the medias. Yeah, so thanks, Spilled Paint, for... go ahead, brother.
If you're listening on June 12th, if you just look up Sins of a Man Spilled Paint, you'll find it literally everywhere, even TikTok, which, please, just go on TikTok. Record
I don't go on
videos,
TikTok, dude. I don't have the TikTok. I don't have the Twitter, man. Come on. I'm borderline boomer, dude. I can't do... I got Snapchat. That's as much as you're going to get from me. Yeah, but I want to thank Spilled Paint for joining me. Make sure to check out his albums. Thanks, Spilled Paint, for putting together the tracks, for the hit list, for everything I've asked him to come together for me. He's put together and came through. So I really appreciate that, man. It's nice to know I got somebody reliable out there to get a hold of when I need something. So thanks again for joining me, and you are marked off the hit list, Spilled Paint.
Thanks for having me.